This is a chemical kinetics podcast in which the fitting of Arrhenius coefficients to experimental data will be discussed. There are basically two common forms of the Arrhenius equation for the rate. One is a simple exponent with two coefficients, the frequency factor, or Arrhenius coefficient, and the activation energy. The second version has a temperature dependence through the additional temperature coefficient. Here is a simple example taken from the literature for the reaction of hydrogen in a hydroxyl radical forming water and a hydrogen radical. Experimentally, the temperature dependence of the rate constants was measured. The log of the rate versus 1 over RT is plotted, and the final expression for the rate to give the frequency factor right from the intercept and the activation energy from the slope. The constants for the Arrhenius equation are fitted from experimental data. The rate constant, with or without the coefficient, is purely a function of temperature. Thus, if the rate constant is measured at different temperatures, the coefficients can be determined. If a plot is made of log k versus 1 over RT, then the intercept is the log of a coefficient, and the slope is the activation energy. If the expression is to include the temperature coefficient, then a simple plot is not possible. However, given enough points, a least squares fitting is possible. There are published compilations of rate constant data extracted from literature. One good example is NIST, the National Institute of Standards in the United States. From this plot, from the NIST website, one can see that there is a degree of experimental error. This can lead to some flexibility in the determination of rate constants. This in turn can lead to some optimization when putting together reactions in a larger mechanism. One standard reference for rate constants is the paper published by Balch et al. These are used whenever possible. If these constants are not used within a mechanism, then the modeler must give a very good reason. The determination of fundamental rate constants can be subject to several sources of error. Along with systematic errors in measurements, it may also be hard to actually isolate the particular reaction out of a system. Often one has to make assumptions about the other reactions in the system in order to derive the isolated reaction. We will talk about some of these approximations in later slides. It can happen that as new results are obtained, these assumptions must be modified and the rate recalculated.